Hello and welcome to the Dynamo Football Book Club. My name's Alistair Bond and I'm joined by my co-host Johnny Coughlin. This week we are doing Man of the People, Reboot by Michael Owen.
10 minutes gone. Here's Owen. He could be away here. Michael Owen, he's got goals with him, but it's still Owen. Oh, what a goal! This 18-year-old has electrified the world. It's a wonderful goal.
Johnny, your voice is nearly as nice as Sean Dyche's. Hello, Al.
He talks like that, doesn't he?
I was just saying to you before the pod, during Ange's tenure at Forest, I literally have consumed no football media whatsoever. He killed me inside. But ding dong, the fucking Australian witch is dead with his lies, his life. We've got a horrible orange fucking sack of gravel, and here we go. Lovely stuff.
Well, it was a nice start, wasn't it?
Oh, I mean, it was magical. It was a magical night, Johnny. A magical night. Or an afternoon for me whilst at work and watching it whilst people annoyed me. All right.
There was that guy there. The guy who says, it's on the diagonal play, or whatever it was.
Towards goal, low shoot, low kick towards goal. Dude, honestly, he was in the bar the other day and someone came in who'd listened to the pod and said, who was the guy? And I was like, shut your fucking mouth. Shut your mouth. Okie dokie. Johnny, do you think Michael Owen has ever lit a cigar with a £50 note?
Well, I'm going to say no then, okay.
I think he has, Johnny. I think him and his dad, Terry Two Jags, sit around like smoking cigars, which they've lit with a burning £50 note. Yeah, okay. And I've got another thing to say to you, Johnny. I remember after one of our contemporary footballer books, and I think I'd been very negative. And I think you told me off air that your dad said, well, sometimes it can get a bit boring if you just slag people off if it's all negative. So, for Michael Owen, oh boy, Johnny, oh boy, let's look for the positives here. Fucking hell. My grandma used to say, if you got nothing nice to say nothing at all. So, A, there'd be no book, but nothing nice to say, apart from about himself, is Michael Owen. And yeah, this is going to be a challenge to try and remain positive. I checked on my Kindle, Johnny. The word resentment pops up 6 times in this book.
Just on my dad, he actually I spoke to him the other day and he'd listened to the Castle de Sangro one and he said, you said that's the best book you've read. It was also your best episode. Because when you like the book, it really comes across in the episode. So I think we're probably in trouble here. Eh?
No, because today is Opposites Day. This is a fucking great book. Okie dokie. So it's called Reboot. Reboot. It has a slashed O on the O in boot. Why? I don't know. It kind of looks like a dystopian novel about some hooded monk who's rebooted his life. It's a weird cover.
He looks like a Jedi or something. He's got like a kind of the hood on that you might see a Jedi wearing if they were setting off into the desert or something. The whole thing is very strange. Okay, question for you. Who's more boring, Michael Owen or James Milner?
Michael Owen. I guess Milner is boring, but in a nicer way.
Like I've disliked some of our previous, the authors of some of the previous books. I think this is the first time I felt sorry for one of them.
Yeah, this is a man who does not wear his genius lightly. And this is a man who is so bitter and so jealous, so amazingly jealous. I've got a list here, his shit list of people he really slags off in this.
Can I say who's number one? Number one.
Well, I mean, we know who it is. Let me give you some quotes right now. Like, he let every single one of us down. He's childish. He's immature. He's petulant. I was arguably every bit as marketable as... And I'd have to live with the aftermath of his actions in 1998 for a lifetime. Fucking hates Bex, doesn't he?
Oh, God, he really does hate Bex. But that's not who he hates most, I think. He does hate Bex. He absolutely hates Bex. And he tries to dress it up in, we were just different. We moved in different circles. He really resents the way Beckham became. Because I guess there was a brief flicker where that was Owen, right? He was the darling. It was supposed to be me, David. It was supposed to be me. You vile Simeone flicking scumbag. You know, it was supposed to be Owen, but it's Beckham. Beckham is the chosen one for the English people, English media. But the one he hates most is Shearer. He fucking hates Shearer.
Well, Shearer is where his passive aggression really comes out. Like, I was scratching my head at that one. I was bewildered by Alan. Yeah, they used to be mates. In fact, when he went to Newcastle, he lived in his house with his family. That was crazy.
Yeah. How big are these people's houses? Just come and live with me.
Absolutely.
Come and live in my house. Come and live in my house. You can stay in the whole
family.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. That's what I mean. It's one thing. We can all have someone stay with us, but the whole family? Unlike Milner, Owen is boring as an individual, but there is something interesting there because there's something funny going on with Owen. Obviously, now we live in a world where people understand there's a lot more kind of... I guess I'm talking about neurodiversity. Michael Owen is weird. He is weird, right?
Well, here's a quote. There's a cold darkness in me. Yes. Yes, there is. Yeah.
And I just wonder if he had just leaned, if he had a different publicist and he'd leaned more into the darkness and the arrogance, because he tries to be this white bread, blue-eyed boy type character, but he's so fundamentally not. And then on the one hand, he's really, really arrogant. And then he is the world's biggest teacher's pet at the same time. If a manager had asked him to do anything, he would have done it, right? He's complicated in a way that I was kind of not expecting. I think he's got kind of two sides to his personality. I think his dad did a real number on him or something. That guy it really seems like he wanted to impress his dad in a way that it goes maybe beyond the norm. We all want to do that on some level, but I think he was carrying a lot of responsibilities on his shoulders when he was very, very young.
Let's start with this, Johnny, because, Owen's childhood.
Let's just jump into the whole book.
Reboot. So first of all, there's a foreword. His dad gives the foreword.
There's about 20 forwards. And I was thinking right from the start, here is an insecure individual. It's like testimonials for a product or something. You know, there's about 8. Ferguson, Jamie Carragher, one of his agent, I guess, his dad, his own dad.
Yeah, other noted weirdo, Glenn Hoddle.
The first person to like Glenn Hoddle as well.
I know, which says a lot. And Carragher, he always leans on Carragher. There's a bit where Carragher is my friend. I really, really value him. And there's a bit later in the book where they say Benitez came in and switched up all the rooming and things. And now Jamie Carragher wouldn't be my roommate. And that sucked. And it's behind the scenes, Jamie Carragher was whispering in Benitez's ears, can I get a new roommate? But just don't tell Michael. Just don't tell it. Because he didn't want to sit with fucking Michael Owen, the absolute nearest to a psychopath we've come across. It's a little bit.
There is something to him, right? There is something very, very. Yeah, it's very hard to put your finger on it. And as much as I expected to find this book very boring, and it is boring, there is something oddly interesting about Michael Owen because he's so odd.
I mean, he's so... All right, so let's get it. So the chapter 1 is called Wired Differently. No fucking shit, Michael.
Yeah, well, there you go. That's what he should have called the book.
Right from the get-go, he talks about his childhood meal times. And Michael was a very promising footballer. He had two brothers and a sister.
Terry and Paul are the brothers. 2 sisters, not named. Don't worry about them.
Right, so Michael really loves his dad. Really, really loves his dad. And fucking hates his mum. And... he really does. He really does. They talk about childhood dinner, and how about this? Every week, like clockwork, my dad would wake up in the morning and get a lovely fat bit of steak just for me. And we'd sit around the dinner table, and I'd be eating my steak, and my brothers and sisters would be eating beans on toast. What does that do to kids? It's stop. Michael eats better than you because Michael's better at football. Wow.
Yeah, amazing. Do you remember? He said so. They had money troubles, and this is why I think he was under a bit of pressure from a very young age to succeed. He talked about bailiffs coming, hearing his parents arguing. I guess this is not uncommon, but I think he did feel pressure, and he said that he and his mother used to borrow his underpants. And
That's when I thought I might enjoy this book, when I read that line.
But do you think it's because he had the best underpants?
Yeah, he got the Calvin Kleins and everyone else had rags. Yeah, it's not always a thing of poverty. My wife steals my underpants all the time, drives me fucking crazy.
I looked it up. There's a thing called parentification now. I was asking the internet, asking an AI, what does it do to kids to have this pressure to succeed? Now, in the case of Michael Owen, obviously he did succeed, and it was probably quite clear very early that he would. And there must be so many people in football who have that pressure and don't succeed, but it's pretty fucking rotten.
Well, that's it. He's very conscious of the good work he's done for his family. I mean, first of all, just to go back to his mother, she worked 2 jobs, was never around trying to keep the family afloat, where his dad was off fucking gambling, playing golf, and watching young Michael do cross country. And he's like, I wouldn't change a thing about my dad. He's perfect. Just fucking lazed around while mum did all the hard work, whilst you were, and I quote, unforgivably vile to your mother. Like, Michael.
But can you imagine just how picture the scene around the table, this weird combination of arrogance and teacher's pet characteristic to him. So he's sitting at the table, he's chomping this steak, and the rest of them are eating beans on toast. And you can just imagine this smug head and thinking that this is totally and utterly how things ought to be, and everything was as it should be. This is because I've earned this. There's something very, very strange going on with Michael Owen.
All right, so yeah, he is wired differently. He talks a lot in his book about a shit filter, where I think he literally says at one point, I'm the most mentally strong man in the world. Well, I don't know, because his shit filter seems to break quite a lot. He says, I'm immune to criticism. Yeah, apart from when you're not, and then you take it very, very personally. This was a funny quote. In my post-playing career, the ability to banish negative opinions and criticism has been an important attribute. Yeah, no shit, Michael. Because it's all negative, isn't it? I remember seeing him. I think I may have said this before. I was watching a show and he was on a panel and he looked like a Saturday night entertainment host, a bit porky. Do you know who Stephen Mulhern is? He looks like Stephen Mulhern. And I was like to my wife, it's like, see that fat man there? He was once the fastest man in the world. He would have beaten Usain Bolt over 20 yards. And she's like, no, I don't think so. It's like, honestly, it's difficult to believe that fat dickhead was once one of the best footballers in the world. Ooh.
Yeah.
In my mind, I never had a bad game, he says. The whole last third of the book is him describing all the bad games he had.
It is actually quite, it's quite sad reading in some parts of this, because there's something. So Michael, have you come across this concept before? Michael Owen, he didn't talk about this, he just mentioned it. He said, it has pride of place in my trophy room. He has a room in his own house dedicated to trophies. That is so crazy. Is that common with people who are successful in sport? I know they have it in stadiums, but it's like you go over to Michael Owen's house for a drink and you have to do an hour-long tour of his fucking trophy room where he goes through all of he talks in detail about every goal he ever scored and tries to just make sure that you understand why every criticism of him was actually wrong, and this is the reason why.
He's absolutely nuts. Can I just talk about the Apple Core story? This is...
Well, it's the first story in the book, and you had said it before.
Yeah, well, he does it. He brings it up again, and he's like, I'd sit in my living room eating an apple core, and I'd have the bravery to throw it in the bin. And I knew if I missed, my fucking evil mother would have a go at me and bollock me. But I had the bravery to throw it anywhere. And old Terry Two Jags, my dad, he'd look on nodding approvingly. That's it. Push the boundaries, Michael. I mean, is that what he thinks bravery is? Throwing an apple core in a bin? I mean, he's redefined the word loyalty later in the book, so maybe bravery is something else. I should receive a St. George's Cross for this, despite the attentions of my mother.
There's something that dynamic. His dad is looking on at him, encouraging him. Why are you encouraging him, Terry?
As a youngster, I would take out my frustrations on my mother verbally. Oh, lovely lad. Lovely lad. Nice kid. One more about his dad. So Terry, and you mentioned bailiffs earlier, and he's like, well, now my dad has 2 Jaguars, and people on the estate call him Terry Two Jags. We still laugh about it. It's like, what do you laugh about, Michael? Dad, do you remember when you were poor, but I made you rich? It's funny, isn't it? Oh, mate. Oh, you horrible man. Horrible man.
Do you think Owen is happy with his career?
No, I think he's absolutely miserable. I think he's just absolutely burning up with resentment.
Yeah.
There was one thing where he says, it's very David Brent. It's like, I prefer tangible things, trophies I can touch, like a League Cup win, as opposed to like this strange concept of playing at an elevated level. Because you didn't play much Champions League, did you, Michael? And you never won a big competition. He didn't really want to anyway. It's like David Brent. Oh, I prefer a flan. I prefer a League Cup to actually playing in the Champions League because, why? Because I don't have any Champions League experience.
But he is Brentish. He is Brentish. And I remember, I went back and redid the sound on the Zlatan episode recently. So I listened back to it. I remember listening to myself say that when you kind of realize that it's kind of a literary kind of Zlatan, not a real book. And that's the way to read the Michael Owen book, is just imagine him as a comedy character. And then it reads quite well. It's actually quite an enjoyable book. Because there is something very Brentish or partridgey or whatever it is about Michael Owen. He's just not all there, I think, Michael.
No, he's not there. He has absolutely... he finds it very, very difficult to relate to the common man. The gambling. There's a spell with England where he talked about in the World Cup. It's like, the press, after our disastrous World Cup failure, the press decided to focus on our gambling. Well, they picked up on the idea I had a £30,000 debt with Kieran Dyer. What they don't realise is that's like £20 to the man on the street. £30,000 to me. It's like, Michael, shut your fucking mouth, like somewhere Ashley Cole is going, thank you very much, make me look better. Like, he's so awful. He's like, my brother, he only earns £300 a week, the loser, but he thinks nothing of gambling 50 quid of that. Yeah, that's a problem, Michael. That's a problem to. It's not admirable. That's not relatable. You've all got gambling addiction.
There's a kind of a certain constituency in football that Owen has a real hatred towards. Who would you say that is?
The journalists.
Well, even more so than that, it's fans. He really hates football fans. Badge loyalty and badge blindness and stuff like this. Like, well, yes, being a football fan is what you're talking about there, Michael. That's like what keeps this whole fucking thing going. And he keeps saying like, what fans don't understand this, fans don't understand that. And obviously footballers do say that like fans don't understand certain things, but they're usually talking about the way the game is played. And he's the
Newcastle fans, blindly delusional. Manchester United fans, I'm sure there's some decent people among them. Real Madrid fans, they don't really create an atmosphere, so I couldn't really be bothered to play for them. Like, it's only Liverpool fans. It's Liverpool fans' love he wants, and it's Liverpool fans' love he's never, ever going to get. Like, he's like, I'm not one of those old pros who hangs around his old club, like, looking for handouts. That's pathetic. It's like, they don't want you there, Michael. Nobody loves you. Nobody. Not even your wife or your mum.
So whatever hatred he has for his mother, he seems to have transferred to his wife because he blames her for the kind of whole breakdown of the Real Madrid thing, you know?
Oh, the Real Madrid thing. Right, well, we'll get to that.
Okay, let's try and keep it reasonably linear, but we don't have to go through every kick. Essentially, that's what he does in the book, right? He goes through every single kick. Okay, Michael Owen, he is a generational prodigy, a generational talent. And he has done everything by the age of 22. And sadly for Michael, nothing since. So I think he has this combination of very unusual characteristics. Obviously, in terms of sporting characteristics, he's just phenomenal. He's got this speed and he can finish and this kind of thing. Then he's got the bravery to throw the apple in the bin despite his cruel mother looking on. He's insanely arrogant. And fair enough, I guess he should be and you would be, I guess, if you're this good at sport. But then I think he would just do whatever he is told, and think his father has kind of like bludgeoned out part of his ability to think for himself, and he will just do whatever his dad has kind of programmed him to do to succeed at football. I think that's kind of where we are with Beckham, young Owen. And then somewhere in the back of his mind is this crushing anxiety that if he fails, his whole family's going to fall apart. That's young Michael.
A lot of pressure. But he doesn't feel it because he's the most mentally strong man in the world. Apart from he does feel it all the time. So off to Liverpool. This is who he's always wanted to play for, although apparently he was an Everton fan as a kid.
Man City tried to bribe his father. His father obviously would have taken the money, but then went to Liverpool and said, "Look, unless you match this, Michael will be going to Man City." And obviously Man City at the time were not the Man City they are now. So Terry Two Jags got the first job he had for about 20 years as a scout for Liverpool.
Which means he had to do absolutely nothing on £25,000 a year, and all he had to do was sit there and beat Michael's dad. Ooh. So what happened at Liverpool?
So, and just to say, his dad was a professional footballer, right? He played for Everton. I think he played one game for Everton, I checked. And he played for Chester, and he played in the non-league.
Yeah. All right, so he's at Liverpool. There's, as you say, you talk about the worst part of football autobiographies is long, detailed descriptions of goals. Well, Johnny, this has got it in spades, hasn't it? Blimey, the goals against Germany and the 5-1. And I'll tell you what, Johnny, I often think that like Irish and Scottish people are overly hard on England fans. But I got it with this. Blimey, the 5-1 Germany, that's like a whole chapter. One fucking game where we had a decent win and then fucked up the World Cup a year later. And he's like, oh, mate, go on and on and on. Oh, it's so tedious.
Well, the goal in Argentina got a whole chapter. A whole chapter for a goal.
Well, the goal against Man City when he played for Man United, that was also like a whole chapter. Wasn't it like he just tucked it in from a yard away? But the description of it, like, I had the awareness to pull back at this moment. Like, I knew Giggsy would be looking for me. Like, oh, blimey. Loves Giggsy, doesn't he? That's another wrong one that he really likes. Really likes Giggsy. Can I just throw in a couple of other people who he doesn't like? Because
it's the most fun part of every book, I really think, is who they like. That's what you want. It's the grudges and why.
Here's one. Temporary England manager Howard Wilkinson. What the fuck did Howard Wilkinson do to him? Like honestly, it's crazy. Like, it just absolutely decimates him. He was in charge for like 2 games. He said something like, "Oh, Michael, I want you to play it. Oh, I was scratching my head there. I was bewildered. Or you didn't see me. I'm a world-class forward. Like, why are you having me playing the 10? Just." Ooh. Here's another person. He doesn't hate this person, but Darius Vassell is just a spineless slug. He's just a spineless worm wriggling on the floor. He has no self-respect. He has no bravery. He has no courage. Darius Vassell should be ashamed of himself. Just really wild. Like, just really get stuck into him. He took the 6th penalty in a shooter. Well, if that was me, I would have been braver. But Darius isn't built like that. Oh, no. Really, really horrible. He absolutely humiliates Gaza in one of 2 interesting stories in the book. This was interesting. So when he was at Real Madrid, he was at the training ground and someone came up to him and said, "Oh, Senor Owen, there is a friend to see." Oh, he's not French. "Mr. Owen, there is a friend to see you." And he pops out. Who's this friend? Gaza had turned up at the Real Madrid training ground with his boots, thinking he might get game. But even then, Michael is so awful about that. He's like, "Oh, it was obviously very, very embarrassing. I popped off, and when I returned, Gaza had gone. I've never mentioned it again." So, this is an arm around the shoulder time, isn't it? Like, "Gaza, what are you doing here, lad? What are you doing here at the Bernabeu? What are you here? Come on, let's go and get you a nice cup of tea." But really humiliating. But that's quite a good story, wasn't it?
It's a brilliant story, but like it's the kind of story that most people wouldn't put in their book.
No, because it really humiliates Gaza for no reason at all.
If someone just came, like, okay, Owen has done the draft, you could just see him there, his tongue sticking out the side of his mouth as he's writing this with his pen and paper. And then they're like, "You know, Michael, Gaza might not really like that story." So you can just imagine Owen being like, "Oh, do you reckon?" Like, he just doesn't seem just seems to be something missing, like basic empathy or something. That like he does, which is obviously a psychopathic trait. Michael Owen has it.
We're amateur psychologists. I think that'd call Michael Owen a psychopath. I think that's fair. Another one who gets it is Keegan. Like, Keegan, he just thinks he's a blithering idiot. And it's the sort of thing, he's like, oh, Keegan wasn't very good. Stephen Gerrard thought so too, and Jamie Carragher. Like, he always does that. If he says something negative, he always has one of his Liverpool mates to back him up. See, just like me, Stephen Gerrard, we're friends.
I thought of Keegan, because I guess Owen and Keegan are similar characters in a way. You know, these, plucky underdog types, small, playing for Liverpool, all the rest of it. They're similar. They're similar stories in a way. And by God, are they different individuals. Keegan, just the nicest man. Maybe, like, of all the books that we've read, the nicest people have been like Keegan, Puskas. But certainly Keegan is memorable for that. I guess when he won the Ballon d'Or, Owen, he was first since Keegan, wasn't he? Because he was 79. Yeah. God, are they different.
Just totally different. Yeah, that's it. Kevin Keegan is someone who... Well, he just embraces life. Like, he went and drank the water in Spain for 8 years and enjoyed himself. Well, let's get on to that. Okay, so he wins a bunch of trophies at Liverpool. They win that quadruple. He calls it 5 trophies with my Ballon d'Or. Yeah, the plastic treble. And he's like, how could you do better than that? Well, by winning an actual significant trophy. Premier League or the Champions League. That's how you go, rather than winning the FA Cup, the League Cup. Oh, the FA Cup final.
I did look back at those goals, though.
You didn't need to, because he brought them about 12 pages of length, and his fabulous skills. That was very tedious. But then he goes into that thing, I wasn't sure if Liverpool really wanted me. Oh no, that's why I went to Real Madrid. Oh, I was crying when I went to Real Madrid. Oh, I didn't want to go. Why couldn't I be like Ian Rush? He does that like, Ian Rush went to Juventus and then he came back to Liverpool and the fans still liked him. Well, that's because Liverpool couldn't play in European competition at the time and he wanted to test himself at the highest level. What did you want to do, Michael? You wanted to go off and try and be as big a celebrity as David Beckham. He's always like, why do people see me as more rugged? I would have got better endorsements. Here's a quote it's like, people don't understand what an arsehole I really am. This is a quote. He's referring to the under-18 Euros. I had just hit an Italian player during a game, which was my style at the time. That was my style of time. I go around hitting Italian lads. When I was under 18, I just hit a lot of Italians. That was my style at the time. People don't realise how rugged and tough I am. I'm a tough guy. No.
The other thing about Owen is he was a practical joker. And one of the practical jokes, he said, so way further down in his career, he and Nicky Butt played head tennis against Keegan and Terry McDermott, and they lost. And then they paid them, but they paid them £200 in penny coins. And then he said, we had all the lads come in and look at our handiwork. And Darren just looking at Michael Owen bringing all the players in to see this mountain of pennies and explaining to them why it was so funny,
This is, if you look, it's a lot of pennies, which is inconvenient. And also, to go about this ruse, he's like, I had to give him £200, but how would I do it? This was a job for Terry Two Jags. So he sent his dad. He sent his dad around all the banks in town to get penny pieces so he could just put them on. You see, this is the thing. Michael Owen would not be able to recognise a funny story if he saw it because that part of his brain is missing.
I think it is. Yeah, golly. Yeah, Keegan, yeah. Keegan beat him in head tennis, though. That was quite enjoyable, wasn't it?
Yeah, they were shit out, and also Nicky Butt is another person who he fucking loves Nicky Butt.
However, Nicky Butt did travel on the helicopter as much as he did, so he should also be vilified by the public for taking that helicopter as much as Michael is for owning it.
Yeah, so this is later on where he's responding to criticism from Newcastle fans when he doesn't give a shit, which he definitely doesn't, and he's just flying in it. Like his wife had to fly in and out of Manchester because, crikey, an hour and a half drive from Newcastle, that would be too much. Yeah, and that's it. And he's like, the fans don't realise that although I bought the helicopter and had a pilot, sometimes Nicky Butt would travel in it, so he's indulgent too, isn't he? No, he's not.
We regularly dropped them at an aerodrome near his house. That bastard Nicky Butt, hedging a lift on a helicopter, good. Owning a helicopter, bad, Michael. bad.
So nuts. It's like, oh, I went out and despite my immediate salary, I bought a Ferrari. My wife was furious at me. But she's travelling in it now. She sits in the passenger seat, so in your face. Awful. Okay, so yeah, quickly goes to Madrid. Oh, yeah, how heartbroken he was to leave Liverpool behind. How heartbroken. Oh, he cried all the way there. I don't know if I can do it, Dad. He did do it because of lovely, lovely money. Lovely, lovely money. So he goes to, and this is the most pathetic thing I've ever seen. So first of all, he starts off by slagging off the Real Madrid fans. And he's like, they don't really get behind the team, so why should I bother? But he just couldn't live in Spain because he was put on it in a hotel in a business park. And his wife was trapped. She was living like a prisoner. He'd go off to training at 8 o'clock. His wife was trapped in the hotel. There was no way she could leave. She had no form of transport. Yeah, I had no idea, Johnny, that they didn't do car rentals or taxis in Madrid. That they're not available, apparently. So poor Louise Owen was just trapped like a prisoner with her eldest daughter, who she loves so much. And yeah, I mean, how could they possibly live in a situation? He'd be like, it's like, I had a good day at training. And then I wanted to play golf with the lads, but I looked at my phone and there's like 10 messages like, when are you coming home, Michael? When are you coming home, Michael? I'm trapped here in the hotel, in the luxury 5-star hotel in the centre of Madrid. I can't get out. Well, obviously, I couldn't live like that, what I was doing to my family. Come on, Louise Owen, get a fucking taxi. Just go get some culture, eat some tapas, go to a fucking art museum. Jesus wept. You can do something. Oh, there's nothing. She was just trapped in a room.
Yeah, and he says, I'd go to training and Louise and the baby would be waiting on the steps when I came back from training. And sometimes I would go for golf as well. Sorry, Louise, I'm going to be 5 hours late.
What could she do, Johnny?
But that's why they left, right? At least that's what he says.
And also because he was an also-ran at Real Madrid, he simply wasn't good enough. Who did he have in front of him? He had like Ronaldo in front of him, like fat Ronaldo.
Raul.
Raul and Morientes. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're not getting in that team, you fucking...
But then he does, you mentioned in one of the previous episodes where he had this kind of spat with someone on Twitter where someone had said, who was better, Rooney or Owen? And then he explained, or who's a better, whatever age, or whatever. And Owen explains at length why this is. But then he just rattles off stats to justify his time in Real Madrid. I was actually a lot better than everybody seems to remember. And then I scored this amount of goals, I played this amount of games, I started more games, and I was so blah, blah, blah. I was like, come on, Michael. Have you ever come across someone who's so successful and yet so ashamed of their failures in life as this guy?
No, I mean, the insecurity as well, despite his mental strength. So I've been around Madrid for a year, so I just thought I'd go back to Liverpool. But they didn't want me. They won the Champions League the first season he went away, and that killed him more than anything, right? That absolutely decimated him. Oh, he says, I was jealous. Some Liverpool fans won't want to hear that, but I was jealous. Couldn't they have waited 5 years to win the Champions League? But no, they had to win it next year just to spite me.
I was happy for some of my friends, but I must admit, I was jealous. Yeah, he absolutely devastated him, I imagine. And it was Graham Souness. Graham Souness is the one who stopped him returning to Liverpool by putting a £12 million bid in. 16 million, was it?
If he hadn't rang me up to ask me if I wanted to play for Newcastle, it wouldn't have occurred to me how much money I could have earned at Newcastle and I would have gone back to Liverpool. But he wouldn't have gone back to Liverpool because they had Fernando fucking Torres. He wasn't going back. I mean, like, Liverpool just put in 8 million for me, but Real Madrid wouldn't accept 8 million. I was like, would it be 12? But we'll never find out. By the way, the 16 million they got for Michael Owen, they spent on Sergio Ramos. Decent upgrade, Real Madrid. Money well spent there, lad.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it?
As opposed to an injury-prone psychopath striker.
He really didn't want to go to... If he didn't want to go to Real Madrid, he really didn't want to go to Newcastle. God almighty. I guess he reached such heights at such a young age that everything thereafter was kind of below him, right?
I was undoubtedly lowering my level at Newcastle with their blindly delusional fans. The only thing that makes them a big club is their big stadium and their millions of fans. Well, yeah, that does make them a big club. Look.
Yeah. No, he was there during Like Freddie Shepherd was still in charge when he arrived, but then there was Mike Ashley took over. But there's very little on that, so that's a shame. I was hoping to get a psychopathic point of view of what happened. I wouldn't have been surprised if he was saying how wonderful Ashley was, because he's such a contrarian, old Michael.
Oh yeah, I bet they get on. But yeah, I mean, there's like a whole chapter about how much he didn't want to go to Newcastle, but he does because of lovely, lovely money again, like 110 grand a week he's on, like 20 years ago. That's big money back then. Oh, but he just did not take it seriously. So yeah, he lived with Alan Shearer for a bit, and then they got a house, but his wife didn't like it. I don't think Louise likes change very much, Louise Owen. So they didn't like that. So then old Terry Two Jags comes up, and they just live in a house and go and have pub lunches all the time and gamble all the time. That's what they did, just gambling with his dad, eating pub lunches. He's like, maybe I should have taken it more seriously. Yeah, maybe you should, Michael. He really gives up at Newcastle, right? He just, fuck it. Don't care anymore.
He banishes Louise back to Wales. He lived in Wales is he Welsh? Kind of Welsh, right?
Yeah, he's a bit Welsh, yeah. I don't know if he was born in Wales, but he said he lived in Wales.
He said he lived in Wales his whole life. But anyway, Louise is banished from Newcastle back to Wales, and Terry Two Jags comes up.
But genuinely, at this point, Johnny, he's like, this club is beneath me, so why should I try? That's his attitude to this. He talks about at Watford where the fans are booing him, and he's like, the love affair, if there ever was one, was over. There was never a love affair. No one ever liked you. No one ever liked you.
But we've never come across this in a book before. And bearing in mind we have read books by Zlatan and people like that, where he says, I was better than all the other players there. Well, steady on, Michael. Show a little bit of humility,
Yeah, and by this stage as well, I'm not sure that's actually as factual as he thinks it is. I mean, maybe 5 years earlier, he would have been head and shoulders. He was at the fucking club with fucking Alan Shearer. Fuck off, you're better than Alan Shearer. You're not.
He just doesn't know how to not say the quiet bit out loud. That's the problem, Michael. They're all presumably football is full of absolutely crazy, arrogant people. They have to be. But a lot of them seem to be able to just keep that under wraps when they're writing books.
Yeah, did no one just stop it? I just think that everyone, they enable him, right? Terry Two Jags like, that's right, at last. Get your point of view across. That bloody Beckham's been coasting it for too long. You're the real hero.
Let's set the record straight, Michael. When everybody has read Reboot, I think everything will change again. It'll go back to the way it ought to be, how it was before 1998.
Yeah, you'll be getting those big endorsement deals in, Michael, you rugged sod. Yeah, so then we have him going to Man United, and we have the famous brochure. The brochure, if you buy a delicious luxury Michael Owen, this will take you into the future. Here's a brochure, which obviously embarrasses him, because it's very embarrassing. So desperate at this stage. And he's desperate.
Who was in from? It was Everton were in from, but then, yeah.
Oh, yeah, and then he's like, now I had a Hobson's choice, didn't I? Would it be Everton or would it be Man U? Which one would Liverpool fans hate more? Don't pick.
Which one would be worse in the eyes of Liverpool fans?
Man U, surely. Right, surely.
Yeah, I would assume so, but maybe if you live in Liverpool and you see more Everton fans, maybe hate Everton more. But yeah, I would have thought United would be worse.
Yeah, I wonder. I don't know, but I would have said, yeah, to go to a successful. I mean, just going down to your little brother, that's fine, right?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
It's like if you have a girlfriend and you dump her and then she goes out with your little brother, that's nice. But if she goes out with your better looking older friend, awful. And great analogy there, Johnny. I've not really thought that through. I'm going to be coming back to good looking women analogies real soon as well, like when we get onto the concept of loyalty.
Just before we get to United, let's talk about the Alan Shearer thing very quickly.
Oh, yes.
Shearer famously was in charge for, was it 9 games? He's kind of a Postecoglou kind of character. He wasn't there for very long, and his record was slightly better than Postecoglou's. But Owen says that Shearer was bigger than the club. And obviously when people say that, it's not a nice thing that you hear. They're not saying it in a nice way. And he was surrounded by people that were indulging him, this Paul Ferris character, being one. But this is this whole idea that Owen had essentially was unwilling to play this last game because he didn't want to get injured, and that would jeopardize him finding a club the year after. And then Shearer essentially kind of blamed Owen and has had a whole problem with Owen since, for the whole relegation and for Shearer's short-lived managerial career. That's the whole shtick there.
Yeah. I think it's perfectly feasible that Shearer asked him to play and Michael said, no, I want to go to Manchester United. I want to get out of this delusional, stupid little club, embarrassing little club where I'm lowered myself to a point I never thought I'd have to.
Yeah,
I certainly won't play in your relegation battle game. I think that's what happened. I don't know. Shearer always strikes me as a reasonable enough man.
well, yeah, that's what Michael Owen thought for a long time, until he refused to play for him and said, "Where's my helicopter? Get me the fuck out." He says, "I had already decided that I wasn't going to play in the championship," or something at one point, you know.
Yeah.
You talked about Stuart Pearce, and the reason that Pearce is loved so much is because he stayed with Forest, because when they went really bad. Like, you imagine how much, like, Juve fans, for example, love Buffon and these kinds of characters. Because he is this kind of glib character, he doesn't understand that. Again, I think it's because his basic lack of empathy and understanding of people, you know.
Well, this is where I'm going to bring in my analogy again, right? So he goes like, "Oh, people talk about the likes of Paul Scholes and Ryan Giggs, who stayed at one club men, but that's because Manchester United were really good and they were winning things. So it was easy for them to be loyal." And this is what I mean. It's like, if my wife had been better looking, then I wouldn't have cheated on her. But she wasn't. So what could I do? What could I do? He goes, "Oh, being a footballer isn't about this mythical concept of loyalty. I decide what loyalty is, and I am loyal to whoever pays me best." Yes, I am. But he's not, is he? He's not loyal to whoever pays him best, because he hates them, like, thinks he's above them. It's wild. He just doesn't understand. He doesn't understand football fans. He doesn't understand how he appears to the man on the street with his fucking nuts money. Yeah.
How many times can we say he's crazy? But he's kind of crazy. But okay, if you were to be a Michael Owen fan, if there's someone out there who is a Michael Owen fan, it's not his wife Louise, it's not his mother. I guess it's Terry Two Jags. So this is the moment of Michael's redemption. He arrives at Old Trafford. A team that's winning things, a team that's in the Champions League, that will go to the Champions League final that very year. So Michael has returned. He's back where he belongs. This is his moment of redemption now. This is, in the feel-good story of Michael Owen, this is the fitting denouement. Not the year after when he only starts once for Stoke. That's not the fitting denouement.
Yeah, his whole Manchester United part is just basically a description of that goal he scored against Man City. That's what he did at Man United, right? And he gets some nice words from Ferguson. And again, he absolutely loves Alex Ferguson. He loves Nicky Butt. He loves Alex Ferguson. And he loves Ryan Giggs.
He loves Paul Scholes.
Who doesn't? And they also talk about how they gave him £100,000 loyalty bonus, even though they didn't need to. And he's like, "Oh, that was a class act from class men. David Gill, good man, gave me 100 grand. Wonderful man, I really like him." It's just, class act, Man United, give me 100,000. They didn't have to, but they just knew that I deserved it. A lovely £100,000 for being useless. Yeah, so that, and then Stoke. Why did he go? He's like, went there. He's like, "I like Pulis, but I think he's an idiot. And why did he sign me if he wasn't going to play me?" Yeah. And then there's two more chapters. One is about horse racing. God, horse racing, I think, is the most boring thing in the world. For me, Johnny, it is so tedious. He sets up his own stables. It's so boring. He has a horse called Brown Panther, which is literally the shittest name I've ever heard for a horse. Fucking right. At one point, the Queen bollocks him at a race meet. That's quite interesting. She tells him to put his hat back on so they can all fit in a lift.
Sorry, just on Fergie. He said that Ferguson would always bollock Wayne Rooney. Said if he was trying to send a message to Nani, he wouldn't bollock Nani. He seemed to understand the players to bollock and the players not to bollock. So he would just always bollock Rooney. Poor Rooney. He said he would bollock Rooney, he would bollock Giggs, and he would bollock Ever because they could take it. I never saw him bollocking Paul Scholes, Edwin van der Sar, Rio Ferdinand, or even me for that matter. Not that means that they couldn't take it.
One more, which actually was very interesting, and it's about when he's on England duty, and they're playing in Russia, and they're at an airport in Russia, and there's apparently 12 planes in front of them, And like the pilot comes on, is like, I'm sorry, folks, but we could be in for a long wait here, like several hours potentially. And he says, John Terry gets on his mobile phone, rings up Roman Abramovich, says, come on, Roman, sort this out like for us. And within 10 minutes, they're off the plane. Roman puts in a call to Moscow Airport, says, get those fucking planes out of the way so John Terry can get off the plane. Ooh, that's some power, isn't it, Johnny? That is proper.
Yeah, do you remember back in the day when those guys were playing, and then during the summer you'd see pictures of them on Abramovich's presumably impounded now yacht? Remember those pictures?
Yeah, they used to like John Terry and Lampard used to holiday on Abramovich's yacht every summer, right? It was a ride. You get the impression with Abramovich, he was such a fan. He'd be like, Mr. Abramovich, we've got a call from Putin. No time. We've got a call from Wayne Bridge. Oh, give it here. Okay, hi Wayne. That was interesting. And the last chapter is called, I think, Looking for Help, Seeking Help, Getting Help. Maybe it's Getting Help, and it's about how he sought psychological help so he could stop being so fucking awful to his wife and mum. Apparently, he was in Dubai and he was just picking on Louise and he just couldn't stop himself. And in fairness to him, this is the one bit I was like, well, good for you, Michael, for recognising that you're a total arsehole and trying to do something about that. That was the one redeeming thing in the whole book, I thought. Just where he's like, I realised I was so vile to my... But yeah, there's a very specific thing where he says, I wouldn't leave my wife alone about her relationship with her eldest daughter. And that's so specific. It really sounds unpleasant. Oh, Louise, you only love it. Just, yeah, I can imagine that was a thing. And I think she probably said, Michael, you have to put that in the book. If you're being honest about yourself, you have to put that in the book. It just seems so specifically unpleasant.
You know, he says a couple of times in the book, because this book is all about honesty, so Louise, I'm sure she knows Michael quite well, would realise that if he said something like that, then he was therefore obliged to say anything that was honest. So she probably could manage, because he's just got such a... Well, I said it was about honesty, so I'm going to be honest, and I'm going to say this thing about gaslight. You know what I mean? Like, it's it's just very odd.
People mistake it, honestly. You know, it's like on Big Brother. It's like, I'm just someone who says what he thinks. Like, that's a good thing. It's not a good thing. Don't just say what you think. Keep it inside. You can't just go around like, I'm just honest, right? I just tell people what they think. You're fat, you're ugly. Like, no, don't do that.
I'll give you 5 quotes from Michael Owen. Real or not real? It's a good run, but it's a poor run, if you know what I mean. Real or not real? Footballers these days often have to use their feet. Real or not real?
Real.
It's hit the facial part of his head there. Real or not real?
That's not real, is it? Because he said he hits the head part of his head.
That's a fantastic penalty, but he'll be good at it when wide. Real or not real?
Real.
What a shot. That's completely unstoppable, but the keeper's got to do better for me. Real or unreal?
That's real.
When they don't score, they hardly ever win. Real or unreal?
Yeah, that's real.
All of them are real. He actually said that one about the facial part. He mentioned the facial part of the head in the actual book, but I got that one from the Telegraph. It can't be. Presumably, it is real.
Oh yeah, he didn't want to be a co-commentator. He thought that was beneath him. He prefers the studio work. Oh, unfortunately, viewers don't agree.
The term he kept using. What I really needed to do was establish a visual rapport with the audience. He also said at one point, when he was injured in Newcastle, I think some of the fans were angry at me because I didn't stay in touch via a weekly column. That's not how you stay in touch with people. This guy is absolutely totally bonkers. Anyway, that's Michael Owen.
Yeah, it is. And he says the very last chapter in the book, he's like, my son came up to me and said, Dad, were you any good at football? And he whipped out Pro Evo 2008 cover, and look, there's me and Ronaldo on the cover. There you go, son. I was pretty good. Like, that's what he got to show for it. The cover of Pro Evo.
Yeah, it's like, I remember hearing about Tiger Woods when he was kind of really in the deer, and his kids were like, didn't really know anything about him. And they were like, well, you're actually quite good at golf. Woods says this in a kind of a self-effacing way, of course. Michael Owen just wouldn't be able to. It's like, if the son came up and he asked me if I was good at football, and then I subjected him to a 3-hour-long description of every goal I ever scored for every team I ever played for, you know.
I won the Ballon d'Or.
Come to my trophy room, son. Come to my trophy room. How do you want to rate this book? Helicopters, facial parts of heads.
Vile abusers. No, well, let's go helicopters. I think it's a 3.5 helicopter book. I did actually rattle through it, and yeah, there are tedious parts where he describes at length his most important goals. And that's it. He describes at length his most famous goals. You all know them, so why am I reading about them? Like, I know what the goal against Argentina looks like. I know. Yeah. And I got to say, at that time, my God, I mean, I thought he was going to be the greatest player in the world. I really did. But
well, so did he. Yeah, amazingly, as weird as Michael Owen is, this is not the worst book we've read.
No.
I would say I would give it 3 helicopters in keeping with my slightly harder, my slightly tougher ratings than you. But yeah, I didn't think this was terrible. On some of them, you're like, fuck, this is a real grind to get through some of them. But I didn't feel like that about this. It didn't feel like a grind. And in a way, if you can kind of shift your view of Owen, it is entertaining in many parts.
Well, I genuinely think this is one of the books which does give us the greatest insight to the man.
Yes.
I really do feel I know Michael Owen better. I started this book thinking maybe I will like him more. I don't, but I do feel like I know him better. I really feel I know who Michael Owen is now.
But I did feel a bit sorry for him because he's just so. He's an unhappy guy.
Yes, I think he is unhappy.
You know, for all that he's achieved. Like if you look at Crouch and the kind of person that Crouch projects, you may or may not like him, but he seems like a happy guy. And he has achieved a fraction of what Michael Owen has achieved. And maybe it's a question of expectation. Crouch didn't expect that. And Owen did expect more, and it didn't go the way he expected. He rightly expected it to go after he scored that goal in Argentina. But fundamentally, it's just about who they are as individuals, isn't it?
Yeah. Anecdotally, Johnny, I had a message about a month ago from an old friend of mine who now lives in Australia. And for some reason, he met Michael Owen in a shopping mall. Like there was a meet and greet. For some reason, I can't imagine why this lad would have met Michael, and he probably explains it. But he said he was really, really nice. So there you go. Just a bit of a counterbalance. He said when he met him in person at a promotional thing, he was genuinely very, very nice. And he sent me a photograph of him with him. And like, my friend is looking like a fucking idiot doing a stupid face, but Michael is just standing there smiling pleasantly. So, you know, he says this is the reboot. He is a nicer person than he used to be. So, although that same new nice person did indeed write this book, so I don't think he is that much nicer.
I'm much nicer now, he says, as he opens a provincial shopping mall in Australia and then goes home to his hotel room and turns on the television to see David Beckham having lunch with the king or something like that. He must be absolutely fucking horrified all of the time.
I'm a much nicer person now, unless I see Darius Purcell, and I'll just explain to him how he has no spine and shouldn't. Just kill yourself, Darius. You've got no honour. You've got no honour. Yeah, so Michael Owen. Yeah, it's a pretty good book, actually. I mean, no one likes Michael Owen, so I don't really know who the audience is. It's not Liverpool fans, it's not Man United fans, it's certainly not Newcastle fans, and it's not England fans. But if you want to see inside the mind of a man with cold darkness inside him, this is your book. Here he is.
It's the footballer's equivalent of American Psycho, yeah.
Yeah, in another timeline, he poisoned people.
All right, well, thank you very much, Al.
Yeah, thank you, Johnny. Who have we got next?
Dennis Wise. Is Michael Owen worse than Dennis Wise? We'll soon find out. Yeah.
I think I might have said this before, but I watched it recently. It's Alan Partridge. He's on his My Time show, and he's like, it's the best segue ever. And he's like, oh, that man got through again on the chat line, and people don't realise, but he is actually a very unpleasant man. Just like Jamiroquai when he goes to play Jamiroquai. And yeah, so I think and from one very unpleasant man to another very unpleasant man. Dennis Wise, although different reputation, very different. Yeah, so for our 50th anniversary, we're doing one of the famous, most unpleasant man in English football, Dennis Wise.
50th episode, 50th anniversary, God almighty.
Yeah, it's going to work one day, Johnny. Doing it 50 years. Yeah, 50th episode is Dennis Wise. And next week we have a father and son draft. Is that right, Johnny? The greatest footballing sons.
Yes, Michael Owen. Alrighty, let's do it.
All right. Thank you very much indeed, Johnny. Yeah, if you enjoy our podcast, please write us a review on Apple Podcast or Spotify. Recommend us to your friends. God bless you. And any 5-star review would be absolutely wonderful. Thanks very much, Johnny. I'll see you next week.
Thank you, Al.
You know, everything was a challenge. I'd eat an apple in the, you know, watching the TV at night, and the bin would be by the TV, you know, 6 meters away or whatever it was. And well, I would just do it. I had the bravery to miss, and for there to be a stain on the wallpaper, and my mum to absolutely scream at me and send me upstairs. I wasn't cocky at all, but the next day I'd do the same, and I'd be thump, and it'd go right in the middle, and my dad would give me a nod of approval, and my mum would be seething but couldn't say anything because it went in. And that confidence, that sort of daring, that nod of approval.